Alright, hello everybody. Thanks for coming to Tpull's Corner. This is Travis, and we are on day 18 of Evergreen month, where we set aside time to devote an entire new deck only to one particular key phrase, mechanic. Today is Mutate. And Mutate can take a while to get a handle on. There is a couple of Mutate decks out there. There's a very standard kind of pre-made black and blue Mutate deck that does very well, and there is a mostly green type of Mutate deck. Sometimes it's green and white that mostly is centered around the Scoot Swarm and doing that kind of land growth type thing. I wanted to do a little something different and maybe showcase some of the Mutate cards that we don't necessarily see every time. So I pulled together a green, white, and black Mutate deck. You know, the black and blue cards have been grouped together, lumped together for so long into a pretty good Mutate deck that holds up against pretty much anything. But there's, you know, everybody's seen it. If you haven't, I'm sure it's out there on YouTube. So I always just want to show something different, and so let's go ahead and go through the deck and see what we got. This chart's a little lopsided. It's not always as smooth as mana curve. I never pay attention to that, actually. We got 32 creatures, 23 lands, average 3.3 mana to get out. Mostly white and green, just a splash of black. We have 4 Swallow Holes. These are sorceries, so they're not instant speed, but you can exile a tapped target creature and put a 1/1 counter on the creature that's left. I like having these cheap removal spells in with this particular Mutate deck because I don't think it works with humans. I think you need to tap your own creature, and most of what we got for Mutate is creatures. 1 Zagoth Mamba. Whenever the creature mutates, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until the end of the turn. Here's a Mysterious Egg. Whenever this creature mutates, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And this is sort of the insidious power that is Mutate. You can put down a 0/2 egg, and your opponent just might ignore it, because it's a 0/2 egg, right? However, if you mutate a big monster onto it the next turn, it can attack. It doesn't have summoning sickness. And that's one of the biggest advantages and flexibilities of the Mutate deck. Essence Symbiote. Whenever a creature you control mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and you gain 2 life. This is really powerful if you get 2 of them out at a time. 1 copy of Cultivate to get some more lands, because we do have 3 colors, and quite often we'll need to go get specific colors to do all of our stuff. 4 copies of Glowstone Recluse, and this is the first card in this deck that we encounter that has Mutate. So if you are new, Mutate can take a while to get used to. If you cast a spell for its Mutate cost, you put it over or under a target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. So, to spell this out for this card, normally it costs 2 colorless and 1 green to put the Glowstone Recluse down on the battlefield as a regular creature, just like everything else you ever do. That makes it a 2/3 creature, 2/3 spider with reach, means it can block creatures with flying, right? Okay. For 1 extra mana for the Mutate cost that's mentioned on the card, you can cast it instead, and you put it on top of another creature. Okay, so say we put it on top of... do I have anything that's... Well, let's just say I put it on top of the Essence Symbiote. It's a 2/2 creature. If I put it on top, its power and toughness overtakes that of the symbiote, so we go from a 2/2 creature to a 2/3 creature. Because it mutated, we also get those 2 +1 counters, which turns it into a 4/5 creature. Plus, because of the Essence Symbiote, we get to put another counter on that, and we get 2 life. So we go from a 4/5 to a 5/6 creature with 1 spell. Okay, go from the 2/2 Essence Symbiote, putting this over it. Okay, we go to a 5/6 creature. If we put the Glowstone Recluse under the Symbiote, he would retain the 2/2 power. He'd still get the +2 counters from the Recluse and the +1 counter from the Symbiote's own capabilities. So he wouldn't be 5/6, he'd be 5/5. So that's why a lot of times, whoever has the greatest power, the greatest toughness, whatever we want to accomplish the most, that's the one we're going to put over. But they're both in there, and all of their activities, all of their actions still work, all of their attributes. Cubwarden's the next one. It has lifelink. For his Mutate cost, you create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. That's kind of handy. 3 Huntmaster Ligers. Whenever this creature mutates, other creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. And the nice part about this is Magic the Arena keeps track of how many times each creature is mutated for you. So if I've mutated Essence Symbiote once with Glowstone Recluse, mutating it again with Huntmaster Liger counts as a second time. So if I had a Mysterious Egg out, that egg would get a +2/+2 and make it a 2/4 creature for that turn that we mutated Huntmaster Liger onto a Glowstone Recluse. Okay? If you're not following, just wait till the gameplay. It will become clear as we demonstrate. Vulpikeet has flying, has mutate. Whenever the creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Dirge Bat has flash as well as flying, so I can play this during my opponent's turn if I have enough untapped mana, but it costs more for the attribute. Regulates a 3/3 flyer. You can put it down on the battlefield, and again, it's flash, so you can do it on your opponent's turn or your own turn, as just putting it down as a regular 3/3 flyer. For 2 extra mana, you could mutate it over under another creature, and you destroy a target creature or planeswalker that the opponent controls. 2 copies of Migratory Greathorn. You can search your library for a basic land card, and that can come in handy sometimes, again, because we got 3 colors. 3 copies of Boneyard Lurker. Whenever he mutates, you return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. 3 Majestic Auricorns. They have Vigilance, which I like, and whenever you mutate a creature, you gain 4 life. And so if you mutate 1 Majestic Auricorn onto a second Majestic Auricorn, you get 8 life, 1 for each of the 2. Okay, now say you come back later and you mutate a Migratory Greathorn over on top of those 2 mutated Majestic Auricorns. You should, I believe, still, if I remember right, you're going to still get 8 life because both of those Auricorns are still there in that combined amalgamated creature, and each one will have its attribute activate. So if you can stack them and keep them on the board, they just grow off of each other. Okay, next, Auspicious Starrix. This is a pretty good 6/6 creature for only 5 mana. That's not bad just in and of itself. If you mutate him for 6, you actually get to exile a card from the top of your library, and X, of course, is the number of times creatures mutated, and then you put the permanent cards into the battlefield. So if you only mutate 1 creature, let's say you mutate 1 Majestic Auricorn, you gain 4 life from the Auricorn's ability, and you would exile the top card of your deck. If it's a land, it just comes into play on the battlefield as a land, like you could play a land. If it's a creature, it comes onto the battlefield like your creature. If it's an enchantment, it's just like you played it, but you don't have to pay the mana cost. Now, if you have a Majestic Auricorn combined with an Auspicious Starrix and you do it again, that makes the second time that it's mutated, so that makes the number X 2. So you get to exile the top 2 cards of your library. The thing is, since you're mutating an Auspicious Starrix on top of an Auspicious Starrix, you get to go through that process twice. Each one counts as having a second mutation, so you're going to exile 2 cards off, and then you're going to exile 2 more cards off. Finally, last 2 cards. Nethroi, Apex of Death. This one takes a lot of mana to get out to mutate. Sometimes you just want to put it on the board as a 5/5, 4/5 mana. It has Death Touch and Lifelink together, and mutate others on top of it. But when this creature mutates, you return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you do lose some of these, we can get them back with Boneyard Lurker or Nethroi. And okay, here's the last one. Chittering Harvester for 6. He's a 4/6 nightmare creature. If you mutate him for 5, which is actually a cheaper cost than summoning him, each opponent will sacrifice a creature. It's them that gets to choose the creature, whereas Dirge Bat, you get to choose which one is destroyed. Okay. If you've been playing Magic for any length of time, you already know Mutate. We've got the deck list down in the text for the YouTube links there, and you can go peruse these at your leisure. If you're new, hopefully my explanation's pretty accurate, and we're going to take the stick out for a spin and demonstrate it. Alright, wish I had a green source. but we're not going to let that stop us. Ask and you shall receive. And just like that, our life gain problems are over. Copycat. Go get you. I like using Swallow Whole with this particular deck because, first of all, Swallow Whole is very cheap to exile an entire creature. You do need to make sure he's tapped, so if you run up against a bunch of Vigilance creatures, you might have trouble. But this whole deck is mostly mutated creatures, and you do need a creature. I don't think it works with a human. It specifically says exile target tapped creature. Man, he got a lot of lands. Let's see. Let's just attack. whenever this creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. You like that? And he's gone. That's pretty good for a field test. Alright. Have no idea how this is going to go. I did one field test, and we will probably have that right on after the introduction, by the time I finish having all these spliced together and in the right order. And that field test went really well. But it's hard to tell from just one occurrence. Because I do have a lot of expensive cards, and they require specific color mana, even for the mutation. So it can take a while to get going. And if we miss a land drop, things are really going to start to hurt. Alright. Let's go ahead and get the white source. And we can put this out now. And we can make it grow as long as they don't remove it. They're already starting to gain their life and get some birds out. What color do we need the most? Let's go for a swamp for now. And the nice thing is, okay, so here's the first mutation. It only costs 3 if you mutate. Since he's 3/4, I'm going to mutate him over the Glowstone Recluse. So I choose over. Go from 3/4 to a 5/6, and we get to go get another land, and that's why we'll go get a plains and why we got a swamp before. And we don't mind attacking, because we'll trade 5 points for 2 points of damage any day. Just gonna chump block it. Now you see mutations is listed there. The Glowstone Recluse is still listed. His reach ability is still in black print on the card and on the definition to the right that comes out. And it shows the 2++ counters that we get. Remember, if you mutate the Glowstone Recluse, that's where you get the 2++ counters from. Alright, for our next trick. We bring out another Flying Defender. We go ahead and attack. Try and equalize life total so he doesn't race too far ahead of us with all of his life gain cards. Does he have 4 of those in his hand? Okay, looks like he's also white, black, and green. And because the Patrician is down now, we're also going to lose 3 extra life from him gaining 3 life. Okay, so what we want to do, I think, is this. We're going to mutate the Huntmaster Liger. Choose the mutate cost of 3. We're going to put it over the Vulpikeet because it's 3/4 instead of 2/3. It gets a +1 from the Vulpikeet, and this card over here gets more, and we'll attack with that one. creates 2, right? Okay, for our next trick. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can't stop us. They really can't. So. Where do I want to put the Cubwarden? Do I want to put it on the Liger? Or do I want to put it on the Greathorn? If I put it on the Greathorn, I can get more land out. But I like the idea of having a flying lifelinker. So 4-5, we're going to put it under this time, and you see it go under. It gets bigger. We get the 3/3 lifelinkers, and we get the Greathorn, and both of those are going to attack. These will turn back into 1/1s when the end of the turn is over. And the reason why Mutate can get complicated, it can get complicated even for you. Because you got to keep track of which creatures you've mutated on top of the other creatures, because you can't see the picture anymore. However, you notice under mutations now, both Vulpikeet and Cubwarden are listed. It doesn't list the Huntmaster Liger because that's the front-facing card, the one on top. But everything underneath is still mentioned in parentheses for you. And they did the coding good enough on this, I think, that every single power and attribute that both of them have, they're all combined and listed for you. Spent a lot of time saying it was... When I was taking a lot of time, he said, "You go," so I guess I'll return the favor. Say hi. Say hi to the guy who's trying to think. Are you trying to think? Maybe you have beginner's luck? Or is that something I smell burning? Or have you walked away entirely, in disgust? This is another one of those cases, because we're dealing with an Evergreen term, the Mutate mechanic. This isn't necessarily the greatest balanced deck in the history of the universe that I created, but I did cram it full of just about every kind of black, green, and white Mutate card that I could, including some of the mixed colors. There's green and black together. Did he spend all that time just to do nothing? I'm running out of things to do. Well, I guess I can make this guy even bigger. Okay, he's got something holding up priority. I didn't mutate this one, I just cast it as a regular spider. It just comes down on the battlefield. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do... Should I do it this way? I think I want to do it this way. I don't have enough. Okay. So, never mind. That's my own fault. That's not necessarily complicated. That's just me not counting up the right number of mana that I had available. And as is usual with the pest deck, there's got so much life gain in there, and so many pests in the way, that he's still pretty close to full health, despite me making numerous attacks. And by this point, I would expect him to have some removal, which is why I've been holding on to the Boneyard Lurker, so we could just bring him back. There's the third cram session. And he goes and gets more pests. And this could prove to be a real big pest because it could take a while to get through this. Okay. Mutating it under again. Now we'll have 4 creatures: Liger, Vulpikeet, Cubwarden, and Recluse, all in one nice little package. There we go. Under. Okay. 2 counters on it. Bam, bam, bam. Now we attack with everything. I want you to go under 20 life this time and stay that way for the rest of the game. You hear me? Your title is, your name there is Flex Big or Go Home. I'm flexing big right now, so I can make you go home. And he didn't block a single thing. Alright, he gave up the ghost. Another successful field test. We'll try it one more time. This is what we like to see, actually, as far as lands, 1 of each. That does give us a warm fuzzy feeling. It's a good way with the cheapies to test if they have the counterspell already, or we might be up against a Mutate deck, actually. So let's go ahead and get started. Take over. 2/2 beats a 3/3. Oh, we don't have. Never mind. Let's go do this one. This one I got. Put a 3/4 over it. Let's see. What do we need for land? We're probably gonna need one more swamp. Yeah, you got wrong. That wasn't a swamp. I didn't need a swamp. I'll get it right eventually. Hopefully it's not the death of me. This puts him out of bounds of some of the regular destruction cards that he has. And now you can see all the Mutate cards in one place, right? Okay, what do we want to do with this? We're going to take the white mana. Let's go ahead and put this on. We're going to put it under. I need two sources for that. Not liking this. Okay. We're going to go ahead and take the jump. No. And this is why I always get confused. I'm gonna pass. I'm not gonna do anything. I always keep looking at the top cards that it costs to cast all these, and then I forget that it costs an extra. It usually costs more to mutate these. I'd like to keep my graveyard dry so that he can't ever bring him back. It's gonna be tough since he has Death Touch. I'm already in need of my removal spells. I can't really let him get bigger card draw advantage, so I'm going to have to accept that our Okay, starting over. Let's see. 3, 4. You got enough. Oh. I brought them both down at the same time. I mutated a new monster on top of a creature that already had summoning sickness, so we can't attack this way. Does he have another death touch? Didn't I just say I wanted to keep all my creatures out of the graveyard? He is not being very helpful. Uh-oh. He wants to attack, does he? Alright, let's see if we can solve this. We're going to mutate and put it under. Because 2/3 is less. He doesn't have vigilance, so we're not going to do anything beyond that. We're still just going to block him. He's got death touch, so the problem is it's going to kind of kill us, isn't it? Should I let him attack and I'll just attack for my 7? Okay, that settles it. I'm just letting him through. Yeah, you can go. Okay, there we go. Now we can afford to do this. Let's see, 3/4 versus 3/5. We're going to go over this time. But all the other time is still on. And we're going to attack. We've got lifelink. And he's using Massacre Worm as a chump blocker. No, he just gone. Okay, we go up to 28. Let's see. Do I want to do this? Yes. Let's do this with one of the new creatures. No, I don't have enough mana. It was glowing because I could put it down on the regular battlefield, but as a regular monster, 2/3 isn't going to stop a 3/4. He can hit me for 9 points if he wants to. He can cost me a couple of extra points if he manages to kill the 1/1s. He still only has 2 cards in the graveyard, so he can't bring back the Lockmere Serpent yet. He needs 5 in my graveyard to exile to put this back in his hand. How do you do it, fellas? Okay, so how many times have we mutated? Once, twice, 3 times? So this will be 4 permanents that we get for Auspicious Starrix? What good did that do? Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and block with him. I use 2 life instead of 6. Alright, here's where we start to really have fun. We're going to put it over because 6/6 beats him. It's going to be the 4th mutation. So that's our full card from the graveyard. 2, 3, 4. Bam. Nice. I like that so much. He's going to keep him out from Death Touch. What do we want to do? It's a good question. I think we're going to mutate again. We're going to put it under the 6/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam! That's lovely. Lifelink. Attack. I'm keeping this guy. And that is the beauty of mutation. And it's kind of weird because this black and blue mutate deck is a credible deck. It's pretty tough. And, man, we just kicked the pants off of it, didn't we? I don't know if I'm just lucky or what, but this was a very good demonstration because we had all wins today, and I got to demonstrate all the different mutated cards. So, hopefully my initial bumbling explanations and hesitant talking and limited experience with Mutate didn't turn you off from all this. We're going to end it there. Thanks for watching. If you like any of what we did, please consider clicking like and subscribe. If you don't, let me know in the comments. I'll keep working to improve until you do like and subscribe. Thanks again for joining us. Have a good one.